If you pay taxes in California, you should be pissed off. You are being charged to help keep this real estate bubble that is destined for a collapse. You're being charged to help keep this thing inflated. You know, I just can't believe that what politicians do. It just is beyond me. They don't know anything about economics, yet they keep on manipulating the economy with all of these laws that are eventually going to be the doom of the currency, of the banking system, everything else. When you've already blown things into massive, massive bubbles. And if you want to see the scale of all of the bubbles, that's in chapter 5 of my book, The Great Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century. But, you know, as an example, take what California is doing now. They're going to fund 20% down payments with 0% interest for home buyers with incomes up to $211,000. Now, Australia, this is coming out of people's taxes. California the government doesn't produce anything. Same thing with the federal government. They don't produce anything except burdens and regulations. That is their job. So they're taking taxes from everybody, and then they're giving them to new home buyers, not the ones that bought a home last year. If you bought a home in California, if you pay taxes in California, you should be pissed off. You are being charged to help keep this real estate bubble that is destined for a collapse. You're being charged to help keep this thing inflated. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel and do a search for how China will blow up Australia, you'll see this video, and it's got some live presentation in it. But the Australian government charges Australians tax, and then there's the first-time homeowners boost, they called it. And then there was another thing where they're giving grants to people to buy their first home. You get so many thousand, 20,000 Australian dollars or 40,000 Australian dollars, and then keep the bubble going. They started giving incentives to buyers coming from China because there were so many people coming from China and investing in Australian real estate. And so they're charging a family in Australia, they're charging taxes and giving it to a Chinese buyer to keep home prices going up so that the sons and daughters of those taxpayers can't ever afford to get into a home. And now we're doing the same stupid kind of stuff in California. I just can't believe the insanity of these politicians. And then here is Blackstone bought these buildings. This is in Santa Ana, which is in Orange County, in 2014. And they're Class A office towers, and they sold days ago at a 36% discount. Now, I'm guessing that means from the price that Blackstone paid in 2014. That is signs of a real estate collapse. Now, all of these bubbles that we're in, they would not be possible if we used money. We use fiat currencies and bank credit. And to paraphrase J.P. Morgan, he said this back in 1912, gold is money. Everything else is credit. Well, gold and silver are money. Everything else is fraud, theft, and enslavement. When you buy a home, I put a home value, $1 million here, and with 20% down, which California government will give you now, and they're going to get paid back out of the supposed appreciation of the home, which means they're going to get paid back out of the devaluation of the dollar. That's what they are counting on, is that inflation will continue. They're going to boost home prices by taking tax dollars and funneling it into real estate. And then if the home is ever sold, whatever the appreciation is, they'll get paid back, and it's 0% interest. But if you look at the way currency is created, bank credit is an IOU for Federal Reserve IOUs. So when you see digits in your bank account, that's a reminder to the bank that they owe you a certain number of Federal Reserve, which is another IOU from the Federal Reserve. But the way fiat currency, most of it, because 90% of what we use is bank credit, the way most of it is created, you want to buy a house, you bring that house to the bank and you say, I've got this house I want to buy and I need to borrow $1 million. And the bank looks at you, your credit's good. They imagine $1 million of brand new dollars that they just type into your account. It's imaginary. The entire monetary system globally is just imaginary at this point. They imagine it into existence, and you go along and you make payments. You're now bound. Their asset is the loan document you've signed. They've got this mortgage that they're going to make interest on, and you're going to be working for 30 years. And part of your life is tied up in earning this currency and paying the bank. So it is a way of, you're going to get the asset, But if you look at this loan here, this is an $800,000 loan, and at today's rates, you're going to pay $1 million of interest on that $800,000 loan. Now, the blue area, the dark blue, is the principal. When you pay the bank back principal, that dollar gets annihilated when it reduces the debt on the balance sheet. Everything balances. So all of these dollars vanish. The $800,000 that was imagined into existence gets unimagined through this 30-year loan. But at the beginning of a loan, you're paying almost all interest. So this is the big scam, and most people will have a house for 5 or 10 years. And look at how much of the house you actually own, the principal, your equity in the home, most of what you've paid, and they keep you on this treadmill. You change homes, and what happens is you're paying almost only interest again. Every time you buy and sell a house, you're always stuck on this end, and you never end up really owning the home. The banks end up keeping you on this treadmill, paying interest, and then when you finally do get to pay off the principal here, all of that currency vanishes. That is the reason it is not money, and people need to stop calling it money, because this stuff is imagined into existence and it vanishes at some point. And money is supposed to be a store of value. That is a primary function of money. Anybody at this point calling fiat currencies money is just flat out wrong, and they really don't know what they're talking about. So if you're listening to another commentator talking about the US dollar as money, they have not caught on yet. This isn't money. For 5,000 years, gold and silver have been one of the predominant currencies. For the last $2,500 years, they have been money, and they have been the only thing to prove themselves money over the long term. Everything else comes and goes. Maybe we will have a crypto one day that is stable as far as purchasing power goes, and perhaps that will be a new money. But right now, the only things that are money are gold and silver.